And will there be anybody attending tonight? Okay, I've got 7 o'clock. And we're looking at our last chapter of the semester, pension plans. There are several kinds of different pension plans, 4 major ones that are covered in the slides and by the author. But the two that we have problems with, that involve problems in the book and the slides, and that are the center of your case, are the defined benefits plan and the defined contributions plan. Charlie just joined Corn-Fed Corporation, and he happened to join them when they're transitioning from a defined benefits plan to a defined contributions plan. Most of you who work will be looking at a defined contributions plan in industry. In education, the defined benefits plan still is offered by a lot of schools. In an unusual move, Corn-Fed is giving all the new employees the choice of going with either a defined contribution plan or defined benefit plan. With either plan, Charlie expects to make $70,000 in the coming year. He expects raises of 3% a year for all of his working life, which he expects to be 30 years. He then expects to retire, and based on actuarial tables, he should live 20 years through his retirement years. With either plan, Charlie is required to kick in 5% a year. During his working years, the money will be invested in stocks that are expected to earn a 9% return. During his retirement years, the portfolio will be converted to something a little safer. It's called shortening up. It'll be converted from stocks to perhaps short to intermediate term debt instruments that are expected to earn 4%. We're assuming these are the returns that will be earned with either plan. Hey, Kirsten. I just had a student join, or did I? Nope. She tried. Okay. Now, the defined benefits plan works like this. For every year that Charlie works, the company will kick in 2% of his best salary. And of course, his best salary will be the salary he's making in his last year of work. And there is no cost of living adjustment with a defined benefit plan in this case. With a defined contribution plan, should Charlie go that way, he'll also have to put in 5%. But his company will provide a 5% match. So we're actually a total of 10% will go into his retirement fund. First, really what we're trying to do is estimate what Charlie's annual retirement benefits plan benefits would be with either plan, and most likely go with the one that provides the higher benefits. I'm getting a call from Kirsten, but it's not responding.
I'm here.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Good. But you just now jumped in, right?
Yes, I caught the end of the last slide.
Okay, look, I'm going to back up. Start over.
Okay.
And this is not a problem. All right. There are two predominant types of retirement plans: a defined benefit plan and a defined contribution plan. If you're working in the industry today, most likely you have a defined contribution plan where you put money into a retirement fund. Your company may provide a match to that, a partial or full match, and you decide how the money is invested. Then when you reach retirement age, whatever that money has built up to, if you're like most other people, you'll then buy a lifetime annuity. Take the money and convert it to something that guarantees you a certain amount per year for as long as you live, all right? There are other retirement plans, but these are the two for which we have problems to work. These are the two that the case is based on. Now, most companies for years had a defined benefit plan, and then they all started converting to defined contribution. If you're in education, you may still be finding a defined benefit plan. Since I can do anything I want when I make these cases or problems up, I stated that Corn-Fed Corporation, this company that Charlie's going to work for, is giving him the choice. They're actually phasing out the defined benefit plan and moving to a defined contribution. But for hires this year, they give the employee the choice. So Charlie gets to choose. With either plan, get rid of that. Charlie's working for the company. His salary the first year will be $70,000. He expects annual raises of 3% a year. For each of his 30 years of work, he plans to retire 30 years from now. He expects to live 20 years in retirement. With either plan, Charlie kicks in 5% a year. During his working years, whether the company is deciding how the money is invested, and I'll explain that in a minute, or whether Charlie does, we're assuming during his working years, he'll put the money in stocks, and he estimates he'll earn an average return of 9%. When he hits the start of retirement, he'll shorten up and put the money in something safer. He'll move the money from stocks to, just for simplicity, let's say money markets. It'll be a mix of money markets and intermediate term debt securities. Now, with the defined benefit plan, companies have a formula. In this case, Charlie's annual retirement benefit, sinuses are misbehaving. With a defined benefit plan, the company agrees to take Charlie's best annual salary, which will typically be the last one, and for every year of work, pay him 2%. And that will determine what the annual benefit is. And we're assuming there is no cost of living adjustment, no COLA. With the defined contribution plan, in addition to Charlie's 5%, the company will kick in another 5%. So we're going to look at each plan separately, and our goal is to figure out what Charlie's retirement benefit would be. And, typically, he would want to go with a plan that offers him the higher retirement benefit, but not necessarily. We'll look at that. All right, with the defined benefit plan, the first step is to figure out what Charlie would be making in that best year, that last year of work. If he's making $70,000 now, that's in year one. Then his salary in year 30 would be found by taking 1 plus his raise, which he thinks will be 3% a year, and raising it to the 29th power. From year 1 to year 30 is 29 years. So Charlie estimates that he'll be making nearly $165,000 a year. And if you don't want to use the formula, you can use your calculator, time value of money bar, and arrive at the same thing. Let the 70,000 grow for 29 years at 3% a year. Next, and I threw in some graphs. If you want a schematic of what we're doing, we're compounding that 70,000 forward to the final year. Next step is to figure out what his benefit would be. He's supposed to get 2% for each year of work times that best annual salary, which in Charlie's case would be an annual benefit of almost $99,000 a year. So if he chooses to go with the defined benefit plan, he estimates his annual retirement benefits that he can live on during retirement will be roughly $99,000. And the company agrees to pay that for as long as Charlie lives. So Charlie would not have to worry about outliving his retirement benefits. Now, something I didn't put in the slides is that with a defined benefit plan, the company, Corn-Fed Corporation, will have a liability. And to find out what the present value of that liability is, Corn-Fed would need to first discount the benefits it's supposed to pay Charlie, and Corn-Fed will be required to actually, it's called use the yield curve, but during the retirement years a low discount rate. Now, this is what should be in the retirement account for Charlie, although they don't really mix them like that, at the start of retirement, to figure out what that is as a liability today. We discount that back, that lump, back to the present. And so this is what's supposed to be there at the start of retirement. If we discounted it back to the present, and by the way, during the working years, the company, in calculating liability, is allowed to use a higher discount rate, like the 9% that the company would expect to earn on stocks. And we come up with a liability, a pension liability for corn-fed of a little over $100,000. And that shows up under long-term debt. That's an obligation that corn-fed has made to Charlie's future retirement benefits. Now, what would be Charlie's annual retirement benefit under the same kind of program, a defined benefit program, if his annual raises are 4.5% instead of 3%? Well, if he gets bigger raises, you would expect him to end up with more money. In this case, there we go. We'd go through the same steps. We'd have to first figure out his salary in that last year, year 30. So again, we take his salary in the coming year times 1 plus his growth rate for the 29 years between year 1 and year 30. Only this time we're assuming a growth rate of 4.5%. If he gets annual raises of 4.5%, then his salary in his last year of work would be a little over $250,000. In his annual benefit, which would be 2% times the number of years worked times his best annual salary. $2 a year for 30 years times his best annual salary. This time, if it's 250 plus his annual retirement benefits, instead of being around 99,000, it'd be a lot bigger. So the results, of course, are sensitive to what you assume in terms of his, well, in this case, his annual raises. Now, the other plan the defined contribution plan and that's labeled wrong. It should be contribution. Please, sorry about that. Defined contribution plan. First, we need to see what Charlie's contribution would be to his fund in the first year. We need this for an algebraic time value formula that helps us compute what will be in his fund at the start of retirement. In the first year that Charlie works, he kicks in 5%, and his company kicks in another 5%. So $7,000 will go into his retirement fund. Since the amount that is kicked in, is constant, whatever the growth in his salary is, that will be the growth in the contributions. You know, if you're kicking in 10% of your salary every year, and your salary grows at a certain rate, the contributions will grow at that rate. Now this weird looking thing is extremely useful. That finds the future value of a stream of payments that grow at a constant rate, where the return on the funds is R, in this case, the rate that would be earned on stocks. The contribution in the first year will be $7,000. The growth in the contributions will be whatever Charlie's annual raise is. And the growth in the value of the fund will be whatever rate of return the fund earns, which in this case is the 9% that we expect Charlie to earn on stocks. If Charlie gets a 3% raise every year, puts the money in stocks that earn 9%, at the start of retirement, there'll be a little over $1.26 million in his account. Then to figure out what his annual benefits would be, we assume he invests that $1.264 million, and during his retirement years, he'll put it in something safer, like money markets, and earn only a 4% return, but that will give him annual retirement benefits of $93,000 a year. Sorry, once again, sinuses. So far, the defined benefit plan looks better. Um, with the defined benefit plan, he expects an annual benefit during his retirement years of, what was it? 98,976. With the defined contribution plan, he's expecting annual retirement benefits of less. Right now, this looks like a no-brainer. One of the problems with the defined contribution plan is Charlie is on his own. These are what his annual benefits would be if he lives 20 years during retirement. If he lives longer, he runs out of money. With the defined benefit plan, he doesn't have to worry about outliving his benefits. The company commits to paying this roughly $99,000 for every year that Charlie lives, whether it's 10 years, 20, or 30 in retirement. Now, here's an interesting thing. If we go back and calculate what his benefits would be if he gets annual raises of 4.5%, again, his contribution in year one would still be the 5% he kicks in, the 5% the company kicks in. So 7,000. Now, the value of all of those contributions after 30 years, this would really be the value in year 30. Again, the formula says we take the payment in year one times 1 minus 1 plus the annual growth rate in his salary divided by 1 plus the rate of return the money earns So in this case, he'd still be getting 7,000 kicked in year one, but he'd be looking at raises of 4.5%. And notice, since this is an algebraic time value formula, all the interest rates, all the values for R and G are put in decimal form. And the value of his fund at the start of retirement would be little over 1.78 mil. And his annual benefits that he would get from that, living for 20 years, if it's invested in something that's earning 4% for those 20 years and he draws out the same equal amount each year, his retirement benefits would be, of course, even greater. Now, what I wanted to show you if we had carried this out based on his annual raise, with each plan, the defined benefit plan, and the defined contribution plan, we first looked at this for 3% raise, found out his defined benefit, his annual benefit under the defined benefit plan would be bigger than under the defined contribution plan. We did it again for 4.5% and found the gap was even much bigger. What I didn't work out in the slides, but for you to see, if his raises were only 2%, of course, his benefits under either plan would be lower, but look at this. He would actually be better off, at least have a higher annual retirement benefit with a defined contribution plan. So the plan that is better depends on what his annual raises are. And of course, this also depends on the rate of return, at least for the defined contribution plan. It depends on the rate of return earned on stocks and then on debt instruments during retirement. Two other plans. One plan called a profit sharing plan. I'll let you look at the slides and voiced over PowerPoints for that. Another plan that's becoming popular is something called a cash balance plan. We don't work any problems with this, but the unique thing about this plan is that tax-deferred contributions are much higher than with, for instance, a defined contribution plan or defined benefit plan. Because of that, you find high income professionals, attorneys, medical doctors, they tend to go with a cash balance plan. You can look at the slides, voiced over PowerPoints, and I walk through that. Kirsten, do you have any questions?
No, not so far.
The idea behind these Monday night meetings is to give you a short, concise picture of the heart of the chapter. I guess in a way, work through the tough stuff. Now,
Well, this is good then. If this is the tough stuff, I'm glad.
good. It's more challenging for some students than for others. I know you can handle this. I've taught you before. Next Monday, I'll hold a Zoom meeting. In fact, if you look at schedule, but I don't have an agenda. That would be our last class meeting before your final, which is that weekend. And I don't have an agenda. I will simply answer questions, work any problems you guys want me to work out of the slides, out of the book. And if nobody shows, there'll be no meeting.
So, I don't know if I looked, but do we have new material that week?
Say again.
Do
New
we have,
material? No.
Yeah, no. So this is
No.
the last.
This pension management chapter, which I believe is chapter 29, that's your last chapter.
Yes, I'm beginning.
That's
Okay.
the last of the new material. I thought you guys could use a breather to prep up for the
You
final.
have no idea.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes. Okay. So we have chapter 26, 23, and then 29.
I think that's right. 26
Okay.
is real options. 23 is derivatives
Hedging.
and hedging.
Yeah.
And 29 is pension management.
Yes.
And I've given you the
Okay.
composition of the final exam, I believe, in the course syllabus. I forget. I think it's going to consist of a series of problems. Honestly,
So
I don't
it'll be
Go ahead.
it'll be different from our midterm.
You know what? Give me 1 second to look that up. I really don't remember.
No problem.
I'm pulling it up on my laptop, which is a little easier to do. Here we go. Boink. Boink. Almost there. You know what just occurred to me? Instead of looking at what I promised in the syllabus, it'd be even better to look at what is actually there. Give me 1 second. Messed up. I needed to go into edit mode, and that's just 1 second. Editing on, and then peeking at the exam. for the final exam, you have a series of problems. Some are worth 10 points. Some are worth 20. Some of the problems are simply a lot longer with these last 3 chapters. And you've got a 5-point spreadsheet that's like one of the 3 case spreadsheets. And like the midterm, you work out the problem on scratch paper. When you close your quiz, email your work to me. And, it would be the title you would use for the files: Kirsten Williams, problem 1, Kirsten Williams, problem 6, and so on. Send them to me, just like you did the midterm.
Right. And that includes the Excel spreadsheet as well. Well, the last Excel question, you want us to write that down on paper and take a picture like the other ones?
All you have to do is on your scratch paper, write down the Excel formula you would put in the indicated cell, spreadsheet cell. Okay. It's just exactly like the midterm, only I think this time I'm only making it worth 5 points instead of 10. Unlike the midterm, you can't skip anything.
Really?
Well, we only had 3 chapters. And that's the primary reason I'm not letting you skip anything. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. You've got 4 problems worth 20 points each, 2 problems worth 10 points each, and a 5-point spreadsheet for a total of 105 possible points. And you don't skip anything.
Okay. So that's, what did you say, 4, 5, 6, 7 problems?
Exactly, counting the spreadsheet.
All righty.
Any other questions?
No.
Stay safe.
I will be prepared to ask some on next time. I'm going to have to get those ready.
That's fine, or if you, any other time, not just during next Monday night meeting, right. If you come up with a question, you can email me, you can post it to the Moodle forum, or if you, for instance, if you tried a problem and you're not getting the solution, the answer, the answers to the textbook problems are in the back of the book in Appendix B. I threw in extra problems, lots of extra problems in the slides. Those are typically in green text. Well, like they were here. And with each of these, not the ones I use for Zoom meetings, but for the ones that are for the regular chapter slides, there'll be a check figure in red at the bottom of the slide. So if you work any of the problems, the extra problems in the slides, or problems assigned out of the textbook, and you don't arrive at the check figure, then on a piece of scratch paper, just like you did earlier. Whoa, come on. My whiteboard's misbehaving. Then just, show me your work. Take a picture, send it to me. and I'll be glad to see if I can find where you made a mistake. But you don't have to wait for that Monday night. You can do it before or after next Monday night.
Okay.
Okay. If you have no more questions, stay safe. This will be recorded and probably posted to Moodle by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
You have a safe week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.